From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. It's Saturday, April 12th, which means you're listening to a special weekend edition of the podcast featuring the Capitol Recap. Coming up, after a lot of backroom wrangling, House lawmakers have approved a sea change bill on education reform. We'll have details of the debate that preceded the vote after this. House lawmakers have given their approval to the most significant education reform proposal that Vermont has seen in decades. The bill would fundamentally change the way Vermont sets budgets for education spending, and it also contemplates some significant changes to school governance in the future. In this week's edition of the Capitol Recap, Vermont Public State House reporters Lola Dufour and Peter Hirschfeld broke down the legislation as it was being debated on the House floor.
Lola, you and I are talking on Friday afternoon. As we speak right now, about 150 members of the Vermont House of Representatives are on the floor debating an education reform bill that House Speaker Jill Krowinski has characterized as a generational overhaul of Vermont's school system. What's the defining feature of this proposal to you?
If I had to pick one, I would say it's the foundation formula, right? It is the idea that the state will tell school districts how much they're going to spend instead of local voters deciding at the local level.
And the foundation formula that the House is considering right now would give schools about $15,000 per pupil to educate students. Do I have that about right?
Yeah, that's right. That would be the base amount, but there would be adjustments based on student needs. So, a child in poverty would get more money, for example.
Right now, there is wild variation in the amount that districts spend per student to educate their kids. How would this new approach upend the system that districts have become accommodated to?
Yeah. So, a big argument for a foundation formula, and we've heard this from both Governor Phil Scott and also Democrats, is that the current local control system actually doesn't send money where it is most needed. And when you look at the modeling that's been done for at least the House Democratic foundation formula, which is in the bill right now, you would see, the amount of money that is going to different regions shift really considerably. So the total amount statewide wouldn't change that much, but you would see areas like Rutland County, like the Northeast Kingdom, like Bennington County, get really large infusions of cash, actually receive more money than their voters currently are willing to approve at the local level. But areas like Addison County and, eastern Chittenden County get a lot less money than their voters currently are willing to approve.
I hear you saying that this proposal would not save money in the short term. And this whole conversation was born of widespread outrage over unsustainable increases in property tax bills. So I'm assuming Democrats are still keenly aware of that dynamic. How are they arguing that this plan will bring down overall education costs over time?
This bill also includes minimum class sizes and minimum school sizes. And, the idea is to have bigger schools and system-wide fewer educators.
This is not going to be a unanimous vote today on this bill, far from it probably, and it's run into opposition from members of both the Republican and Democratic caucuses. Let's start with the GOP and Phil Scott. What are their biggest concerns with this approach?
Pretty simple. They want it to spend less money, and they want the reform process to go faster.
Specifically, it sounds like the governance piece, right?
Exactly.
Phil Scott wanted 5 giant districts that all schools fall into. The House is saying we need a couple years before we take that step.
Exactly. They want to have a redistricting commission basically come up with maps and bring them to them next year.
Then there are the Democrats, not all of whom are on board with party leadership on this bill. What are their concerns?
They don't want to see a lot of small schools close, right? These are mostly rural Democrats who have small schools in their districts that many people consider to be the heart of their community. And signing on to legislation that could very well doom many of those schools to closure is a hard vote to take.
Assuming this bill makes it through the House, Lola, the next step is the Senate. What can we expect to see happen to this bill during that stage of the process?
probably a lot of these same debates and a lot of, as we have seen in the House, kind of intra-party differences. So we'll see if a critical mass of people can get to yes.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. Today's episode was edited by Jane Lindholm, and our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. Talk to you next week.
This is Tanya Mosley, co-host of Fresh Air. You'll see your favorite actors, directors, and comedians on late-night TV shows or YouTube. But what you get with Fresh Air is a deep dive. Spend some quality time with people like Billie Eilish, Questlove, Ariana Grande, Stephen Colbert, and so many more. We ask questions you won't hear asked anywhere else. Listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.